Oh, I saw a good take. Dude, I maybe posted this on Twitter, but it was like, man, can you believe that like Epstein committed suicide before getting exonerated for a total lack of evidence? Because that's what the FBI and the DOJ are asking us to believe. There's no evidence. We don't have any evidence. We locked him up in prison. And we were about to, we were making a big show trial. We don't have any evidence. He hung himself when he had nothing to worry about at trial.
And old girl's in for 14 years for presumably nothing.
For trafficking children to no one. Welcome to Loaded Talk. I am your congressman, the third most popular candidate to ever be. I am Frank, and as always with me...
What's up, planet Earth? I'm Bean.
Bean. Frijoles negros. I need to look up other types of beans and like different names in different languages. Kidney bean's not funny, but if I could say it in French, it might be okay, or I don't know.
Japanese.
Yeah, there you go. Mung bean. Yeah. We'll look up a bunch of regional. That's what we'll have to do one day is we'll do a tour of the globe to record these live, and I'll have to look up a regional bean for every location. There you go. You heard it here first, folks. Muting this, get through this ad that they try to screw us up with. But, okay. Anyway, so Independence Day came and went. Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day.
Yes, quite. It was one. In Florida, we had rain on the 4th, kind of. And then, of course, we celebrated again on the 5th, because that's how American we are. We like freedom, independence. Well, I think to start us off, I want to play a little bit. Okay, so we know about all the Iran stuff, right? We had a great in-depth show with Salty Jimmy on the matter. Lieutenant Commander Salty Jimmy. And so I think it was informative. I think we talked about it before that a little bit too, just in the lead up of like, holy crap, is this about to start World War III? Now, I think our various conversations, whether with Jimmy or without, I think, that we took a relatively measured look at everything, I think possibly one of our weak points as far as making ourselves clickbaity is we don't often go hair on fire, we don't say, like, oh my God, this is definitely going to happen, because most of the time when you look at those predictions, a lot of them don't come true. But I think it is always fair to consider past actions and the reactions to those actions when it appears that we're going to be following and down similar paths, So, one of those things where it's like, hey, we shouldn't just invade a country and do a regime change and just hope for the best. And it'll just work out kind of like it did in Iraq and Afghanistan, where it worked out perfectly. Of course, in... Is it Syria or Libya now that we have? Who just fell? Was it Syria? Syria, right? And so now our ally in Syria, kind of Al-Qaeda, but that's okay. We don't care anymore. And then elsewhere, I know we've allied with, ISIS-friendly people, but it's okay. They're not actually enemies. It just shows us what horse crap we get fed, especially with the war on terror stuff back in the day. Because, we fast forward and we go, well, look, they're all these little cells, and they kind of run their own thing. Over here, they're technically Al-Qaeda, but not so bad. Over there, they're bad, so we support ISIS. And all the while, our intelligence community definitely knows the difference. Always has. And of course, I think our elected leaders, at least some of them, definitely know. I don't know if they inform all the Congress people. I don't know if they're considered important enough, lowly Congress people. But anyway, So there was a lot of concern when Israel launched a direct attack against Iran when Iran had not directly attacked Israel. So that surprised us all, and we thought, well, let's not accelerate this. We've got Russia and Ukraine going already. Russia and Iran have been friendly. Of course, as we talked about, Russia is probably too locked in to really add to their plate. They're barely fighting us right now and not excelling. So to actually fight us might be the end of their government, of Putin's rule,
You said fighting us.
Oh, America.
Oh. Was not Ukraine?
Not Ukraine. No. Right now they're kind of fighting us in that we use our pawns, the Ukrainians, to die while we just give them technology. And they fly our expensive drones into things.
Hey!
But that's been tough enough for Russia. So, obviously right now, you don't want to have two fronts. Anyway, we went over all this. But still, it's one of those things where you go, this didn't seem like the best time. It's 2 days before negotiations over a nuclear thing were supposed to happen. Like, 2 days? You can wait 2 days? Like, if Trump left the meeting, it was just like, they didn't say anything. Then, okay. But no, they had to preempt it. And so we said, this is dangerous. And we talked about it in good detail. We talked about how some of the information that we were getting on what Iran's up to, as filtered through especially the right-wing news, was not necessarily accurate. And Salty Jimmy helped clarify that because, of course, he has more knowledge on the matter than all of the media. And in spite of what a great job Scott Horton does, Jimmy does know more than Scott Horton on the area. So we broke it down. Well, now here we are on the 8th of July, and it seems like everything's just back to normal-ish, Houthis just attacked a ship, which is a proxy, but Iran really hadn't done it. Iran took a victory lap. They said, we won, and America's so scared. And, Trump was like, that's stupid. Like, we destroyed them. And it's like, hey, settle down, Donnie. Let's let them take their lap, Everyone took a victory lap, and then everyone kind of went back to normal. And so it seems like crisis averted. So now, this is a clip from Mark Levin. Are you familiar with Mark Levin?
No.
He's like a talk radio guy and writes books. I think he used to work for like Reagan or something. I don't know if he was a speechwriter or a policy guy or something. Either way, he's been in that world for a while. He's well regarded, I would say, but he wants to take a bit of a victory lap in the fact that we're not all dead. So we're gonna talk about this for a second.
Take a look at this book on power. One of the areas that I dug into, it's only a tiny piece of the book, but it's an important piece of the book, is this whole mindset, this whole belief system. That's where these terrorists come down. And so the idea that if we left them alone, like some of the most radical isolationists said, that we would somehow provoke them. Remember, they're building nuclear arms, they're building intercontinental ballistic missiles. They've killed thousands of our people, maimed thousands of our people directly and through their proxies. But if we offend them, they might do more. More than what? They want nuclear weapons.
Okay, real quick. I'll just pop out for a second. So, starts off talking about the radical isolationists, And with that, I think, and he'll get into it more where he starts, these people with, I don't know how much we're going to play, but he's like, these people that have a platform, they talk, and they blah, blah, blah. And I think he's talking, Tucker Carlson probably a lot. And I think to a degree, Dave Smith and some others who were saying, like, we should not do a strike on Iran. We're not at war with them, Like, we shouldn't just go in. Like, Israel's gone in, but so they started a war, and we shouldn't just do this. And, of course, Thomas Massey, we shouldn't go to war, and if we do, it should definitely be approved through Congress. And they go, oh, no, we've got this, like, authorization of force that, is kind of in that general area that's already authorized. So, if we have to defend ourselves against a building, a mountain, anyway, that mountain could have things going on. So it's defensive to do a strike without anything aimed at us. So, I think, with this, I think Mark Levin and others on the right are looking at those in the more libertarian mindset, and when it comes to foreign aggression. And I think they're trying to dunk hard on the more libertarian side of things, because it is one of the ways that the whole MAGA thing fractured. So, lots of the Trump movement, of course, is largely considered MAGA, as he was running for president. And suddenly there's RFK, there's Tulsi Gabbard, all these people, and he's running on no more foreign entanglements, no more wars, release Epstein files, all this stuff. And then suddenly it's like, okay, well, we're taking planes of war and dropping multiple missiles on facilities inside of a country that we haven't been at war with, and so that kind of that fractured a little bit. It took some of the glow off of Trump for a lot of people who were maybe supporting him for the first time, and so I think a lot of the more Republican, like the hardcore Republican types, see it as being a traitor to Trump, but of course, why should you be loyal to a man? You should be loyal to your principles. And so the extreme isolationists. But in this, he goes, yeah, they want nuclear weapons, and they were developing nuclear weapons. Now, of course, we heard from our own expert that although, they probably do want nuclear weapons, that they've been using the threat of having them as the negotiating tool. So like, maybe we make them, maybe we won't. What's in it for us, And so from 60% to get to 90%, 2 weeks to do that. But some of the facilities that Israel bombed, it was like, this is a water processing plant that's key for developing nuclear weapons. And they go, and it's been offline since 2009 or something like that. And you go, okay, so for over 20 or whatever it was, maybe it was 2004, but it's like, so for 20 years this thing's been offline and it's key to developing a nuclear weapon. And they're developing a nuclear weapon, and it's offline. Like, I don't, it's one of those things. So just right off the rip, he's just like, all right, they want a nuclear weapon. They're developing it. They're developing ballistic missiles. Of course, we develop ballistic missiles all the time, But he's making this big point. Like, basically, they told us they're making the gun to shoot us in the face, and y'all just want to sit there and go, well, just wait for them to pull the trigger. It's this kind of overly simplistic argument. But anyway, so just to start off, what a lot of times I find that is off-putting, whether it's in media or elsewhere, is when people set up whatever their point is, they begin with some points like, we all know, like, these are the assumptions that are true in order for us to move forward with the actual point I want to make, but then they make false assumptions, or just assumptions, well, I don't agree with that, actually. So we can't move forward to the greater point if we don't address the reality that you're saying that we're living in now, or we have lived in, All right. You got anything before I go back to this fella? All right. His nickname is the Great One.
This is incoherent.
No, it's in the background. Look, the Great One.
Those who want to stop nuclear weapons and intercontinental missiles, ballistic missiles, from getting into the hands of a death cult are not warmongers, they're peace lovers. The enemy is the warmonger. The enemy is
always a warmonger.
Now, I think it's been proven now that what the Israelis did and what the president did, our military, Netanyahu, his military, was right. The debate is over. There's no need to even discuss this anymore, is?
All right. I know. This is why I don't know if we're going to get through the whole thing, just because there's a couple of things up front. But they're taking their dunk. They go, it's now provable. Debate is over. It was the right move. Nothing bad's going to happen. Nothing bad happened. It's over. Okay. Granted, I am glad that after the strikes on the nuclear facilities, the 6 bombs on the 2 sites or whatever it was, I'm glad that after that, when Trump's like, don't want war, we were taking out your ability to make nuclear weapons like we said we were going to, and that's it. Nothing else. We don't want war. And though he did flirt with the word regime change or words regime change a few times, so I'm glad after that he pulled back, and they were all able to go, all right, we're done here. Israel's done, Iran's done, America's done. We're done here.
For now.
Well, there you go. And the other thing, so you go, all right, but what's his face? Medvedev. I said it right that time. He came out with that big Twitter thread. And he said one thing that is new that did not exist previously is now there's multiple countries that are interested in selling nuclear weapons to Iran. And if you're Iran and you go like, we used to be able to keep, the 2 great Satans away just by the threat of we're going to make the nuclear weapons, and boy, it's going to be bad for you, especially you, Israel. We're going to just burn you all on the streets. But now suddenly they were in peace negotiations, and look, they're being slimy. I'm sure that's true. I'm sure, they said, well, the intelligence from during these negotiations, from one session to the other, intelligence says that they, have been up to no good. They're not being honest brokers. Okay, fine. But while you're even in bad faith, you have a scheduled negotiation to discuss a matter. An ally of the country that you're in peace talks with, who should be able to keep a tight leash as far as you're concerned, all of a sudden strikes you and, kills a lot of your military leadership, a lot of your nuclear scientists, a lot of your air defenses. They start taking out all your airplanes, like your actual planes, to control the sky. And then they go, okay, well, obviously just the threat of developing nuclear weapons wasn't enough to make them go, do they have them? Do they don't? I don't know. We probably shouldn't attack out of the blue. So that wasn't enough. And then America came in and just and did these. Let's just assume that the Trump administration's correct, and these were death blows to the development process, right? So within 2 weeks of, really, I guess in under 2 weeks from the day you were supposed to be negotiating, all of a sudden, lots of attacks on your country. People are dead, lots of money lost. So you go, all right, well maybe we won't be able to develop one. Maybe we just can't. They're going to kill our scientists. They're going to murder our scientists because they're not at war. They're not developing a weapon. They're just nuclear scientists. Maybe they are looking up how to do it, but they're the scientists hired by the government, So anyway, they kill our people, all that. So instead of developing it, we should just buy one. Israel, they just got some weapons. They just don't have them. They just always say they don't have them. Why don't we do the same thing? Why don't we try the same thing? So, that would be a mindset that would be understandable to reach, right? And if Russia is the one saying hey, once again, we have the most in the world, we can get rid of hundreds and still have the most in the world. And then there's little proxy states and stuff. Is it unreasonable to think that someone might sell a nuclear weapon to Iran on the low?
Oh, it seems like a prime opportunity.
Yeah, it at least is it's a reasonable outcome. I hope it doesn't happen, but you would understand why Iran would want it, and you can understand why suddenly there's more of a market for it, especially with Russia not too happy with us necessarily. So,
And whoever does it would end up creating some sort of proxy relationship with Iran.
most likely, yeah, because Iran can pay cash, but there's probably strings attached, Once someone has a nuclear weapon, there's only so many strings you can attach because they can just aim it back at you. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like a crazy idea that, especially let things settle, and then work on, because the hard thing is not the transaction. Transaction you get done, right? You got to move that weapon to Iran, avoiding all the drones and stuff that are looking for any signatures. So you need time to put together a nice operation, right? So if we find out in 2 years that Iran has purchased a nuclear weapon, just one, but however many. Pakistan said that they were happy to drop some on Israel. So, whatever. But just say Iran gets 1 or 2 nuclear weapons in a year or 2 from now. Was this a success? Or did we take something that was just a kind of, maybe not hollow threat, but a manageable kind of chest beating from an elderly Ayatollah who might not be around that much longer anyway? And did we turn it into a quick action, the exact thing we were looking to avoid? Right? And then what?
Right.
Because then suddenly we go, now what do we do about Iran? They have a nuclear weapon. So I'm just saying this seems a little early to say it is no debate, clearly the right thing to do. Yeah, let's go back to old Mark here.
Sir, to debate whether we should or shouldn't have? Obviously we should have. We did. From an American military point of view, not a single injury, not a single nick on one of our great bombers, nothing. It was perfect, as perfect and flawless as any military operation has ever been. Very, very difficult military operation. They were in the air 37 hours. And then when you get there, you got to execute. And even though the media that didn't want us to do any of this is now raising questions on how much damage it did, we know what the media are. They lied about Biden. They lied about the laptop. We know who they are. They're unscrupulous. They're scoundrels, to be perfectly honest about it. And they work for the Democrat Party, which is why they come out and say, impeachment, War Powers Act. We talked about the War Powers Act. That's unconstitutional, has nothing to do with it. I talked about it on Fox. Now everybody's using what John, you and I discussed, and that's good, because he and I actually know about it.
Yeah, move on.
So there is no more debate, is there? The radical isolationists were dead wrong. They predicted a regional war. The Arabs are behind Israel, even if they can't actually say it.
The Arabs are behind Israel?
They predicted World War III. What are they talking about? Obviously that didn't happen. It wasn't going to happen. They predicted actual intervention by Russia and China, who sat on their hands. They did absolutely nothing. You know what? They're thinking, we got our own wars, we got our own geographic imperialistic designs. We're not going to get involved in that. So the truth is, those of us who said that has to be done, including the President of the United States, were right.
Yeah, I think that'll be enough out of this guy. So, and he goes on, and he goes, these people stabbed Trump in the back, they have their platform, and they just stabbed him in the back, which feels like a Tucker Carlson thing, because he's the only one, big enough. And, Dave Smith, endorsed him, and his profile has definitely been raised over the last year or so. And so, he's been catching lots of flack from the Shapiros and whoever else, But to say that World War III wasn't a possibility, that's crazy. Just because it didn't happen doesn't mean it wasn't a legitimate possibility to be concerned about. And when you have everyone just banging the drums of war, let's just go in there, bomb those people, and just take them out. It'll be no problem at all. Good, Israel invaded, just strike. It was just killing just killing people and destroying stuff in Iran, essentially unprovoked, if you take away the proxies. And you go, yeah, that's good. It's just good. You don't think it's at all appropriate to have people going, well, we should look at the unintended consequences of what could happen, Like, regional war? Regional war? It's like, what do you call these two people in a region fucking firing missiles at each other? Is that not a regional war? Like, it's not like someone predicted it. It was actively going on.
Well, and how do you call it right now? Like, does time just stop? Like, there's no possibility of repercussions down the road.
It's a bold move. It's a bold move to it. I mean, it's like you do it's fourth quarter tie game or something. You go for an onside kick, and you get the onside kick, and you recover it, and then you just start like, we won the game. We won. It's like, well, you still got to get in the end zone. There's still that time left to go. So it's. I mean, hopefully, I never said it was definitely going to cause World War III or a nuclear holocaust or anything, but it was something that did not seem to be being considered totally, at least not by the kind of Republican machine. I'm glad there's no World War III. I'm glad none of this stuff happened. But to act like it was totally unreasonable to caution against such things, that's crazy. And like when he said, through their proxies, killed thousands of our men, because Iran killed thousands of our men through their proxies. You go, I want to see some stats on that. Thousands of our guys?
I mean, how far are you going back with that?
Well, that's the question. Like, how far are we going back? And who are we all counting as a proxy, Because it's like, the Houthis do some stuff. Hezbollah does some stuff, but I mean, mainly to Israel,
Well, they do a lot of stuff to their own, well, not their own people, but their own, like-minded people of other cells or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, they attack one another. They, but like thousands of, because when and like, are we suddenly counting? Are we getting? Oh, you know what he's probably doing is counting the Taliban.
Oh,
that has to be it. That's the only way to make these numbers make sense. Is you have to have Afghanistan count, as opposed to it being that we went into Afghanistan and we were in a war against the Taliban and their associates. Which would count ISIS in there. But anyway, like, you have to have Afghanistan in there.
And the length of time that we were there.
20 years, yeah.
That'll add up.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things like, if you count every American fatality, casualty, throughout the course of Afghanistan as being the fault of Iran.
Right.
Which is...
You're generalizing they did this way too much.
Yeah, it's a bit nutty. It'd be... I mean... Why after 9/11 we didn't invade Iran? We said Afghanistan and the Taliban, we have to stop them because they're bad and they're friendly with Iran, of course. But if we're gonna go from they're friends with each other to being like, well, this is basically all Iran doing the whole time. It's like I feel like we're glossing over things and just reassigning kind of willy nilly. Yeah, I guess basically on this is, I think Shapiro's been doing some stuff. I didn't look his stuff up, but I can assume he's very supportive of what Israel did and probably thinks it's great.
No.
Just going to guess. But anyway, so right now, the right-wing media, they're taking their victory lap against the libertarian-minded people. The people that supported when Trump said... when Trump said all the things we don't need to get in another war, like how come they always think about bombs? Why don't they think about conversation? Like we don't need to intervene. Like when he had this very let's not start new wars, let's not get involved like this, and got supporters through that messaging. They're like, hey, anybody that believes that messaging, like y'all are stupid. Trump was right, and this is the right thing to do, and y'all should just shut up and get with the program. Stop talking. And you go, well, it was his plan. That was one of the things they voted for him, was this plan of not doing this stuff. They go, yeah, we also said they can't have a nuclear weapon. It's like, right, but They didn't say, like, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, and we will invade their skies and drop bombs on their facilities unprovoked
Right.
in order to stop it. People go, well, that sounds like it could start a new war. I mean, normally flying into someone else's country and dropping missiles on them is an act of war. We also don't know if any of that sleeper cell stuff is nonsense or not.
To me, it's like roulette, man. Like, with only two outcomes. Either it starts World War III or it doesn't, and it just so happened to not so far. But you just, like you said, you can't just claim, hey, you guys are wrong. Look, nothing happened.
Yeah. Like, yeah, the
Yet.
odds. Yeah. Because, if you had a roulette wheel with war, not war, however many, whatever the odds are, like starting World War III or maybe not even World War III, but a regional war that lasted for years. The odd, maybe not 50-50, but probably 50-50. I mean, I would think that the chance of it starting a greater war would be above 50%, But so far, so good. I'm happy. It's one of those things like, I don't know. Everyone uses this term isolationist as a pejorative to say, like, because you don't have to be an isolationist. You just say, I don't believe that we need to invade other people's sovereign countries and forcefully destroy their stuff and kill their people in order to get our way. There's other ways to do it, which was a point Donald Trump was making on the campaign trail, for what it's worth. But it's like, it's not isolating. It's saying, like, hey, we've got the big stick, but we don't have to use it. We got it. We got it. Don't make us use it. And, maybe with this, the logic is, well, now all the other despots of the world know that, they'll watch out. No, Trump's talking peace, but if you don't take him seriously, suddenly you might get a boot up your ass. It's the American way.
Like, this is the first time people would be warned of that.
I know. So I guess I'm playing that just as an update on things and to say, take your win. It's fine. Like, it's not much of a loss to say we avoided World War III. Everyone's happy about it. Everyone's happy that there's no World War III. But I don't know. A lot of these people who are taking a victory lap get kind of upset when Democrat presidents take military action in other countries without going through Congress. It's one of those things it's one of the things that started when I started paying attention more to politics, kind of, because, I pay attention to some stuff, but like towards the end of the W years and into the beginning of the Obama years, which I guess, I mean, the first time I voted, I couldn't even vote till Bush's second term, so I guess it wasn't that late in life. But that's when I started paying attention more. And one thing I noticed during the Obama years, especially like during the Tea Party movement and things like that, was just watching people flip-flop on what they say they hold sacred because there's a new person in charge, And I saw it a lot during the Obama years. Of course, it was the Democrats who, we had big problems with George W. Bush's spending. He was spending too much, deficit spending, war stuff, and, going into other countries, yada, yada, yada. Obama gets into the same stuff, turns it up a notch, and they go, that's fine. That's good, actually. And you go, what? And then you'd watch, someone on the right, they'd be opposed to stuff, and you go, I do want to hear why it's different now. But it was one of those things I can clearly remember in my office at my last house going, I wonder how often people totally switch their principles to the exact opposite thing when the party changes for the president,
It's often.
It's often. It's all the time. All the time.
It's so ridiculous.
It's what led me to leave major parties. I can't remember if I was registered Republican or not. But
and then they get mad when you get called out.
Yeah.
when they get called out, you know?
Well, that's the thing. Like, be able to explain it. Be able to explain it. That's all any of us really want.
And you can't just say it's because he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Or he's like a grandpa to you.
Cool. He's not like a grandpa to the people he dropped a bomb on.
Right.
But there was who was it? I think maybe Mitt Romney or somebody. I think when he was running against Obama, he was pro life at that point, but I guess when he was the governor of Massachusetts, he ran as being pro choice. I think I might be saying it to the wrong person. But when someone asked what's the change, he was able to explain it. He said, I was touring, I was taking this tour of this facility, I saw this, I saw that. Basically, like, I saw new information with my eyeballs, and, like, in that moment, I was just like, I've been wrong, And so, like, if there's something that occurs, or be like, well, generally I agree, the set of facts in this situation are a little different, and I think it's wise, yada, yada, yada. Be able to explain yourself, and not just political speak around it. Actually, be able to explain yourself.
And try to, like, save face in your, like, the whole pride thing, I think, is where a lot of people, it boils down for a lot of people. They don't want to feel like they turned on their own party or their own support,
Well, they don't want to look stupid or be called a flip-flopper after John Kerry. It's like, flip-flopping? That's, that's a death knell. But it's like, it's not. Just be able to explain yourself. Speaking of flip-flopping, so, good news, Charlie. The FBI came out and they said there's no client list. There's no videos. And so there's really no evidence, and Epstein didn't kill himself. Happy?
Sure.
Because, I mean, they always said they weren't sure what they had, They always said, I don't know, maybe there's nothing here. That's...
On all these videotapes, there's nothing here?
You can... Is
he just itemizing the stuff in his house?
I think it's clear. I think everybody in this administration, in the intelligence field and elsewhere, I think they've been very consistent on the fact that they weren't even sure if there were any files to look through that were worth a damn. And they did it. They did their due diligence, and congratulations. Now, we'll let you know. Nothing there. So, here's just a little clip from, this is from February. So this is just them talking. This is Pam Bondi, of course. And there is just nothing going on with Epstein stuff. So this is her back in February. She just got the job. And she's going to tell you nothing was there.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed, because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. But she sure did say that she had the client list sitting on her desk. Did she not?
Just sitting out on her desk?
Yeah, just sitting out. She had it open.
Just sitting out. Anybody walks by.
Yeah. And so it was, so that seemed like they were trying to tell us that there was something there, right? Didn't it?
Yep.
I mean, she said, I haven't seen anything, of note yet, which is fine. I haven't seen anything there yet. Okay. But she did seem to say that she had files. So let's check in with my lady. Hubba. So this is also February. This is when old Hubba was on Piers Morgan. The still frame does not look good for her. She's looked better.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs. We have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for
She's tough,
accountability.
but
We
fair.
have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability.
All right.
So they were supposed to take it home.
Yeah, take it home. Take it home,
Their
Cash.
big old chain, it looks like.
Yeah. So that's a little hubba hubba. Saying,
Now it's
hubba hubba. That's they're saying, like, hey, I don't see how people can't be shocked by this. It's crazy. It's crazy. All these people who have avoided prosecution.
Yeah, to me, it literally sounds like she's looked at it. She knows exactly what's in it, and that it's damning, and
Yeah.
things are going to happen.
And even if she hasn't looked at it, she was like chief counsel or whatever. And so like she's in group, she's part of everything. So that's just Pam Bondi, who's just Attorney General, right? So what does she know? And then just old Haba Haba, who she's a lawyer. I think now she's Attorney General in New York or something, or some district court, or whatever. So, but it's not like the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, was saying anything like this back in the day, because that would be different.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
Oh,
But who? That is.
Yeah, it could be anyone.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
oh,
Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting
Yes.
of the Catholic school.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out.
Who's got it?
The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation.
That's the name
All
of his
these local
book.
law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for
Right.
local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game. That's why you don't have a black book or the
So, but
manifesto.
the Black Book, it's not just sitting. I mean, that's Hoover power times 10.
And to me, that's a thing I think President Trump should run on. On day one, roll out the black book.
no. Maybe with the director of the FBI.
And not just that.
good
On
idea.
day one, roll out all of the text message communications we were told were deleted. On day one, play the rest of the video of the pipe bomber. On day, one of the reforms I talk about in government gangsters is you need a central node to be continuously declassifying. This is another thing they do. They overclassify. And I'm telling you, as a former number 2 in the IC, they overclassify 50% of the stuff there to protect the deep state. Oh no, you can't see that. Nothing to see here.
That's interesting.
Gina was a master at it, of doing it. And we still haven't
big
seen half
eyes.
of the Russiagate report that we wrote. Still under lock and key. On how the ICA was originally constructed. We put 10,000 man hours against John Brennan's team that did it. And we found out why they came up with their bogus.
All right, whatever. He said that the black book is being held by the director of the FBI and that they should release it right away. So that was 2023. Okay? Refresh my memory, Charlie. What is Kash Patel's job title?
Currently,
Yeah.
director of the FBI.
Well, that's interesting. Well, that would mean he would have the black book.
Right now, yeah, he's got the lock and the key.
That's interesting. So he said the info's in there, and it's the director of the FBI that has it, and that person, unless they're trying to cover for the deep state, should release it on day one. And now he says there's nothing in it.
Weird.
It's weird. There is no client list. What would you keep in a black book, Charlie?
I have no idea.
The only thing a little black book has ever been is a book of hoes, but or a contact book, and book. I'm just saying, it's your book of hoes. Get on the phone. Yo, Sheila's home. Anyway, so there's Attorney General, Chief Counsel, Director of the FBI, from 2023 through February. But I mean, February was so long ago. I mean, I don't even, what was I, like 6 back then? Like, I don't know. I can't remember all the way back to February. Cheap joke. But yeah, it's all these people who are saying, and don't forget that Pam Bondi had all that pressure to release some stuff. And remember the binders? Remember the binders everyone had?
Everybody had binders, yeah.
And they were all just like, oh, look at us. We got it. You know, up yours, media. And they open it and they go, oh, that's the same shit we already had. And they go, we're releasing other stuff too. And they released stuff and I was like, yeah, all right. And the JFK stuff, like, here's a bunch of stuff. And everyone's like, hey, all right, that's fine.
I just wonder how much, what a dollar figure that their bank accounts were padded for this.
Who, Cash and that crew?
Yeah.
You think they're going to go carrot? I was thinking more stick if there was something. You know? I just remember what Booty Poot said in an interview one time. I think it was maybe when Trump got elected the first time. And they asked, you know, have you met the American president yet or spoken with him or whatever they asked, you know? And he said something. He's like, no. He's like, but because they was like, yeah, he's got these big ideas about what, you know. And so he goes, well, all the American presidents are the same. They run on these ideas. They come in, and then they have a meeting with these men in black suits. And after that, they all act the same. And so, you know, KGB guys basically just saying, like, the intelligence community comes in. They go, this is how things work, and are going to continue to work. And that's just that. And they go, well, okay, then. If they push back, they go, hey, JFK pushed back. Richard Nixon pushed back. I mean, one of the things Nixon wanted was to uncover the JFK assassination. He wanted the country to heal about that. And then a team of people that were all CIA and FBI broke into the Watergate.
No.
Yeah, as part of his re-election team, who had nothing to do with him as president. And when he was in the polls, he was up by like 20, 30 points. Like, Nixon was very popular. And which, you know, gets glossed over with the Watergate stuff. He had no reason. Like, he wasn't trying to cheat. Like, Nixon, the candidate, and all that. Like, he had no need to cheat. He was running away with it. He was an incumbent that basically had no chance. And he won. He did win. You know, but like, you know, the G. Gordon Liddy and that whole crew, whether there was a honeypot thing that one of their girlfriends had all those hooker photographs and whatever it was. Anyway, so, you know, Kennedy wasn't a big fan of the spooks, of CIA particularly, and something happened to him. His brother, not a big fan. Something happened to him too. And then you know, Nixon, not a big fan, and that was more of a casual assassination, you know, just a character assassination and career assassination. You know, the FBI and the intelligence community also wasn't a big fan of Martin Luther King. Something happened to him, too. Anyway, ancient history.
I wonder what determines whether you get murdered or suicided or you get character assassinated.
I think after killing 3 high-profile people in public, and people start going like, wait, what if this is some bigger deal than that? You know, like, something smells fishy in this whole matter. Maybe after that you go, guys, settle down. There was a camera. There's a Bruder fit. Like, there was a film camera running. Like, are you even looking for cameras? Like, cameras? Dang, I forgot those even existed, boss. I was like, yeah, stop killing everybody. So, yeah, I think you have to be a little bit more... And I think today, you have to be a little bit more casual about it, you know. Be on the low. You know, I think if you just blasted somebody, like, say that... I think you would have to do something crazy, like feed drugs to some autistic kid for a while, then talk him into bringing a rifle on top of a shed at a presidential rally that's highly guarded, and yet no one sees him on top of the roof that's closest to the president. You'd have to do crazy. That would never work. It would never work.
Or like turn off the cameras for a little bit so that no one could see you doing what you're doing.
Well, I will have you know, you are so wrong. There are cameras, and you're stupid. So that's the most important thing to walk away with here is shut up, you idiot. We're going to go to Jake Tapper, the bastion of truth, justice, and the American way. After all, he did write that book where he goes, did you know Biden not mentally fit at the end there? We had no idea. They fooled us all. I interviewed all these people. You know what they said? Yep, not fit that whole time. Pfft, boy, they really conned us, the good guys in the media. So, I think this is the right clip here. Where, anyway, they did release footage of his cell. Declassified it. Now, you can't see in the cell, but you can see the cell door. And see that no one comes in and out. Here, let's see this guy talk about it.
Alex,
I
have to say, I'm with the people that still have questions about this. I kind of don't buy the nothing to see here, and I don't know that the Justice Department helped their case. They released this video. Let's show it. It shows no one entered the area surrounding Epstein's cell in the hours before he died. But there's something significant about this video. What is it?
Well, here's one thing that some people on the internet are picking up on, which is that there is about a minute missing between 11:58 p.m. 58 seconds and 12 a.m. The night that Epstein was apparently killed or died.
Alex,
Goodbye. Hey, nice knowing you, buddy.
He was killed. What he hung himself? What he hung himself? So yeah, the DOJ, they were just like Pam Bondi. I was like, listen, the whole crew. I guess Pam Bondi is the head over there. She was like, we're gonna release this footage. Like, here, look, no one came in and out the entire time. And then people on the internet, like you said, just watch it. Went, hey, there's a minute and 2 seconds or whatever missing out of this. Like, why is that missing? Like, I don't know if we have an answer. Have you seen a response to why it's missing yet? I'm sure they'll say, I don't know, technical glitch or whatever. But the thing is, if you're Pam Bondi, if you're the DOJ, and you go, hey, calm down on all those conspiracies. Here's some evidence that'll put your mind at rest. You can't have missing footage that you just don't explain. And maybe you go, let's give everyone the benefit of the doubt, right? Pam Bondi sits down there. She's looking at the footage. And she goes, wait, what is this? Why isn't there any footage for this minute? They go, the cameras at midnight, they do this thing. They switch over from one hard drive to another. Sometimes you lose a minute. It just happens. And you go, no one's going to believe that. No one's going to believe that. Like,
it's not true.
I'm just saying, like, yeah. You go, I don't know how we can't sell it, so maybe no one will notice. But that's stupid. Everyone's going to notice. And because you didn't go, listen, there's missing time, but if you look, I'll bring up another tape. Look, it's missing a couple other places. Like, it happens when the hard drives get low on the hour. It switches to thing to thing. Sometimes we lose, minute, 30 seconds sometimes, But you don't do that. You go, so you fed us a doctored tape? And, and granted, they didn't doctor it all the way. They could easily have changed the timestamp if they were really trying to fix it. But it did. But it might speak more to... Okay. Once again, let's give a lot of people the benefit of the doubt, right? So say Pam Bondi is looking through all the Epstein stuff. And she goes, this is it? This is all we have? Like, where's everything? This is all we have? And Kash Patel's going through. He's like, yeah, that's all we got. We have literally nothing. And then you get this footage. And you're like, okay, well, this is all we have, right? I don't know. I guess we just give it to them. We just give them everything we have, which is nothing. Maybe it's something where they go, this is all the footage there is, period. And yeah, there's missing time. We didn't take it out. This is just literally all we have. So, if you are trying to be transparent, as Cash has made his case so hard on Rogan, look, if I get it, you get it. So if you are in the position where you do want to reveal all the secrets, and you get your pile of documents and all that kind of stuff, and you go, oh, there's just secrets in here. You go, we'll just turn it all over anyway. You go, here it is. I mean, there's nothing else you can possibly do in that situation other than, like, investigate. Like, say you had a bureau full of investigators at a federal level. I mean, no one has that, but pretend you did. Maybe you could investigate. Right?
Easy.
Hey, settle down. Now, there is this one more little clip on this matter before we let Epstein rest in peace with his peaceful heart and all that. This is from not CNN, but the Fox News. So we're going to go to the other side of the aisle for this one. And I don't know, John Kiriakou, former CIA officer. Me.
I'm not blaming the FBI director, Kash Patel, or the deputy director, Dan Bongino. I think that layer beneath them, that's part of what we like to call the deep state, has taken this bull by the horns, and they've probably destroyed information. Look at what the CIA did in 1975 after Congress ordered that it release all of its files related to an operation called MK Ultra. The director of the CIA went back to headquarters and ordered everything to be destroyed. And in the end, only about 20% of the documents survived. We're still learning about the FBI's operations against Martin Luther King 55 years after the fact. So now we're supposed to believe that everybody's telling the truth, that there were no files, there were no dossiers. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it because I know how these people operate.
All right. Now this, I do, not to just give blanket cover to anybody. Get the hell off there. But kind of like what I was saying just then. Because we've got to talk about this before, but like, if Epstein was an asset, he wouldn't be an asset for the FBI necessarily. It'd be the CIA. I mean, he's bringing in princes and presidents and this kind of thing. I mean, like, granted, the FBI, I'm sure, would benefit from, sharing. I think the CIA might bring a FBI in on something domestic, but they're looking for international control, right? Or possibly he was an asset of another intelligence agency, one that his lady Ghislaine's father was like one of the top dogs for, Mossad. But either way, so Mossad's like the CIA over in Israel, right? So either way, CIA, Mossad, that's the difference, So say that's your honeypot. You've had this operation going for a while, and just son of a gun, you can't keep it going. They're on to them. It ends up there is a limit on how many children you can assault before people go, that's too many children. Catholic Church had to find it out the hard way. Nickelodeon had to find it out the hard way. There's a number. It's not one, unfortunately. It's probably not 10. Unfortunately, the number's higher than I think we would all want it to be. But there is a number where at some point people go, this needs to stop. But if you've been if this operation's been cooking for you for decades, and you got all the people you've compromised that are now your precious, they jump when you say so, they get you the info you want. Maybe they throw freak-offs every now and then. Whatever. But you're going to just let cops and FBI people come in and just turn that stuff in? No. You can take that, And I don't know, we haven't heard much because we hear a lot from Cash at the FBI. We haven't heard much from the CIA. The CIA's like, do you have any of the files. Cash doesn't. Pam Bondi doesn't. FBI investigates. They send it to Pam Bondi's office for prosecution. Just like cops and prosecutor locally, same thing, just the federal version. CIA is State Department, Marco Rubio. And they gather intelligence and use it for a number of things, whether it's to get in or to avoid a war, to try and make deals. They feed it, they supposedly give the information to the executive, who can use it to then inform foreign policy decisions. Theoretically. And then maybe they topple government or 7. But we haven't really asked them, Because I don't think the CIA deleted it. Like, no one's even asking questions of the CIA.
That's what I'm wondering. If you've been running an operation this long and this extensive, would you just wipe everything you've done? And now you don't have any leverage on said people?
No way. No way. I mean, like, I think it's probably why Maxwell's still alive. Because it's just like, hey, we're not done with you. We're not done with you. So you keep your mouth shut. You won't Epstein yourself. And we'll talk again in 14 years or whatever. Isn't that what you got, like 14 years?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Crazy. Oh, I saw a good take today. Actually, Theodore may have posted this on Twitter. But it was like, man, can you believe that, like, Epstein committed suicide before getting exonerated for a total lack of evidence? Because that's what the FBI and the DOJ are asking us to believe. There's no evidence? We don't have any evidence? We locked him up in prison, and we were about to, we were making a big show trial. We don't have any evidence? He hung himself when he had nothing to worry about at trial?
And old girl's in for 14 years for presumably nothing?
For trafficking children to no one.
How does this continue?
The only thing I can think is they go, well, Epstein did bang some kids. And so Ghislaine maybe introduced them. So maybe that's enough to get the 14 years. But it's one of those things you go, it's like, so not too much trafficking, not to too many people. But she testifies, she goes, they asked you, have you ever, here was this, did you ever see, Epstein have sex with this girl or any of these minor girls? And she said, I've never seen him have sexual intercourse with anybody ever, was her answer. I've never seen him ever have sex with anybody of any age ever, which, I guess she's probably saying other than herself, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be appropriate response. I mean, it's not. I don't believe it here necessarily, but if you were on, if your lady was on trial, and they're just like, did you ever see her have relations with this fella? And you're like, yo, I've seen her have relations with one fella, this guy right here. And if I saw anything else, I might get a little angry, And so it's just one of those things like, granted, no one's running a smuggling operation.
Unless their relationship was completely set up for the cause.
Well, of course, I don't believe it at all. I think she is well in the loop. But say you're good at compartmentalizing, and you're not really a girlfriend, of course, which of course she wasn't. Or maybe, whatever. But maybe she's the handler. Maybe she's the Mossad handler, and, that's the price. You do this for us, we'll keep you in, quote-unquote, ladies. We'll keep you in girls. And so she gets them, brings them in. I need you to groom them up to get them where they need to be with all these other people. So you could go, well, in case I'm forced to testify one day, I will never be present for this. I can easily say I never saw this, and no one can ever say I was there. No one can ever say I was there. They can say, I told you to go in and give him a massage. And I'll say, I did tell him that. And like, he likes massages. It's his thing. To say, hey, you got to go in there. You got to give him a massage. It'll be good. This will be good for your career, and just be cool, But like no one can ever say I was there. No one can say this, that, the other. So if you're very well structured and not a frivolous person, I could see you being able to avoid that. Now I also think probably you've got cameras and you have seen things, but whatever. So I don't know. It's the whole thing's a bit odd, but yeah, I would love to see them talk. Like who's the head of the CIA now? It's who is now? John Ratcliffe. Why aren't we talking to John Ratcliffe? He's a CIA director. Somebody asked him, what do we have? But it is, as much as our CIA stuff, I think is true and on point as far as like an operation goes. We, the United States of America, arrested him, raided his home. Oh, do I not have that? Oh, here we go. Raided his home. And we're prepared to bring him to trial for very serious charges. And now we're saying there's no evidence. And that is impossible. That is just I mean, thanks to Diddy, it's not totally impossible, but that was a rushed state thing, But still, it's just impossible to believe that we had him locked up in the most, this tight security and all this, but we didn't have anything.
Yeah, and what's their mindset on that? Like, have they gotten that arrogant that they can just sell the biggest pile of crap?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
That's it. So unless, if the FBI, because there were people saying that the FBI was shredding tons of documents. I think we talked about it, back in probably February. It is possible, just benefit of the doubt, it is possible this group came in to things already being shredded, already being destroyed, and they go, and when they go, there's nothing, it's them trying not to say it's all been destroyed and we're investigating it. They're just saying it's nothing. Maybe they are investigating it. I don't know. At this point, I don't know. And really, say they're able to prove that, truck took a bunch of shredded documents to be burnt on February 1st. And, people testify that they had seen more things in the Epstein file on January 15th. But then on February 15th, it wasn't there anymore. And they remember, this truck going. Here's the invoice for the shredding people and all this kind of stuff. Though I assume the FBI can handle their own shredding. But yeah. But you get the point. And so, even with that, hey, we can prove they shredded something. We'll never be able to prove what it was that was shredded. And, people, hey, what'd you do? They go, we didn't do anything. And so it's dead. It's just whether, you need transparency, especially if you've been preaching transparency. So if transparency is you don't know why there's no evidence, and you're suspicious that it got destroyed, you gotta say it. And why is there a minute missing? And here, yeah, just real quick.
But somebody's probably going don't question that,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You go
Cash or whoever.
Well, yeah, it's either somebody high up, that's able to put the screws to the director of the FBI, and essentially the president too, and attorney general. All these people, all of them have the screws put to them. It's either that, or it's just gone, and they're wanting to save face or something. I don't know. But here's this is photos during the FBI raid of 2019 in Manhattan, and I get down to the good stuff here. So look, this whole cabinet full of hard drives. Look at all these hard drives. Look at all those hard drives. And there's what is this over here? It's VHS tapes.
It's all family stuff. It's all family pictures and videos.
A bunch of CDs. What does that say? Somebody's name?
Mixtapes.
Yeah. Carolyn Ann shoot or something like that. A diploma for some reason. So lots of CDs on the CD-ROM days. Nice massage bed, of course. God knows what those sheets look like under a black light. But you got tapes and tapes and CDs full of data labeled, like cataloged, and then hard drives. Lots of hard drives. And granted, hard drives have gotten bigger, so you don't need as many anymore. You can only fit so much, but still, these are full of data. These were all taken by the FBI in Government Exhibit 935R. Like, these were all taken. And, I can't see it on that one. But, so this is one cabinet and one drawer. Nothing but CDs, videos, hard drives. Where are they? What is on them? Because you should be able to answer that. You go, they should be all cataloged. There should be, we recovered this many hard drives.
They'll create their own log from
it. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you go, all right, well, you create your own log. What was on those? What was on them? Are they deleted? Are they corrupted? Are they all gone? We need more on this. Because right now what it looks like is gross incompetence. Because there's only two ways it can really go at this point. One, everything was destroyed. And, I guess one is cover-up. And the other is incompetence. Either you know what's going on, and you're not telling us, because you don't want to. You still have the information. Or it was destroyed and you don't want to tell us. Either way, there's something that you're just not going to let us know about on the Epstein stuff. Or you're totally incompetent. It caught you totally blindsided. All the stuff you thought you had is empty, deleted, gone. You have been looking into it since February, and you can't find any evidence as to who did it, no matter how hard you try, and you don't even know what you don't know. Releasing that footage with a minute missing out of it, maybe they didn't even know, and then suddenly it's like, well, you look incompetent, So, Pam Bondi looks incompetent. Kash Patel looks incompetent.
Yeah, it's interesting. If that is the case, what would the long play be on that? They haven't even been in their positions long.
Like the long play on incompetence? Or
on Kash and Pam for... did they piss somebody off that fast?
That's why, I lean towards... Well, I just wonder, what's the reason... If things were destroyed, what's the reason that you wouldn't come out and say it? Either, someone's putting the screws to you, and you can't say it, or you can't prove it, and maybe that's it. Maybe, some former director of the FBI comes in, former director of the CIA, whoever, the people who used to hold the seats, and they come in because you go, hey, what happened to the hard drives? What happened? Where's the footage? What happened to this? What happened to that? And you go, I don't know. Whatever you got's what you got. And it looks like some of the stuff's been destroyed. You go, well, I just know that you need to be very careful when making a claim like that, because that sounds like, basically you're going to defame my department and me by extension. You're going to accuse me of a felony or crime or whatever. That's harassment. That's this. And, my lawyer has already said this is what, so you better have it buttoned up. And if you go, I don't have it buttoned up. I don't have it buttoned up, and I know that former director of the FBI plus former director of the CIA plus, they're going to hit me with this many lawsuits, for defamation and everything else, slander and all that. And so you go, I can't say what I think. So what can I say? Now, even in that situation, you go, I think what you do is you go, the files that we anticipated being there were not there. The black book that we anticipated being full of names had fewer pages than we anticipated. The hard drives had less data than we anticipated. They were more corrupt than we anticipated. But blah, blah, blah. Say stuff like that, and then press can go, And what do you mean by that? Do you mean that someone went and destroyed the evidence? I mean, that's when you go, I'm not saying that. I have no evidence to point to that. I just know that according to the logs, we anticipated this amount of, certain amount of information to be there, and we ended up with no information being there. I mean, there should be a way to do this, unless you're totally incompetent.
Right, which is what, I mean, they came out like they didn't even try to think about it.
And like they came out so hot about it, like we're gonna release this, we're gonna get it, oh, it's on my desk right now, we're ready. And I think when it was on her desk now, all that kind of stuff, we're like, well, when are they just gonna release it? I think at that point they knew they didn't have anything, and they were searching desperately to find something. We have to have something, and I think that's part of it. Is that like I think that's probably part of why they're kind of going out with a whimper now, is because back then they were like, no, we definitely got it. And maybe they were doing that hoping that someone would come forward and give them some information. Well, if they actually do have it, I should save my butt now. So maybe they were trying to beat the bushes and get something to come out, and it didn't work. And so now it's just like, ends up we were bullshitting you from the very beginning. And maybe they don't want to fess to that because they go, all right, well, if you were lying to us the first week you were in office, what else are you going to lie about, I
just picture somebody's like monitoring the public perception of certain topics, and that like they start to plateau or they start to climb, and they're like, hey, we got to say something on this because the public's demanding it.
Yeah.
So like that's what they did. Oh, it's on my desk. Okay, now the demand kind of simmers a little bit, but then lately it's been like, hey, where's the Epstein client list?
Yeah. I mean, it could be just give them anything. I did see somebody trying to make a bit of a stink about Kash Patel's girlfriend. Did you see this online? So I guess his lady is a country music singer / something for PragerU. Do you know Prager University?
Yeah.
So it's like what's Prager's first name? I can't remember his first name. Anyway, he's got it. He does those like informative videos to teach you about taxation and spending, like politics, but they're trying to get the youth, so they do short videos that give a nice little lesson and an easy digestible kind of thing. But I guess she does work for them. And does country music and is like 20 years his junior. Like he's 49, she's like 26. Good looking gal. And I guess the director of PragerU or the CEO or whatever, she's an interesting person in that I think she was born in Israel, but then moved to like Los Angeles as a baby, or to America, and then moved back to Israel as a youth and went to college there, and then did her service with the IDF, and then I think worked for Mossad according to her bio, and then she came over here just to do this. Dennis Prager, that's his name. They came over to work on these info videos. So you have the head of it is Mossad. And Dennis Prager is, he's a proud Jewish fella, and he's a defender of Israel and all that kind of stuff. And so you go, so PragerU is run by Mossad? That's interesting. Or not by Mossad, but someone who was in Mossad. And and I think Daily Wire is one of the distributors of PragerU nowadays, which is, Ben Shapiro's group. So that's just an aside. But so people are like, so his girlfriend works for basically a Mossad-ran think tank.
Huh.
Yeah.
The college is interesting to me. It almost seems like
It's not an actual college. It's just, they call it PragerU.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they don't have like an actual school.
Man, my mind went way out there.
No, I mean,
like for recruitment purposes.
No, sure. I mean, China's been doing great with it. No, it's they're just like a digital platform so I think there's like long form stuff and short form stuff. I think some of their focus though is like college age kids, and so to say like instead of just being like, hey, communism is great and in the patriarchy and all this kind of stuff, they go, actually, here, let me teach you a little bit about the economy. Let me teach you about that. I've seen some videos. Some of the videos are good. I imagine any of the videos on any conflicts in Israel are pretty one-sided. But no, I don't know. Dennis Prager seems. I don't know him that way. He seemed like a sharp enough fella, and
like the finance videos are probably pretty good.
The finance videos are on point for some reason. Like, man, I learned about compound interest. But anyway, so I don't know if that has any meaning, but I did see a couple of people online trying to make hay about that. And they're like, why would a very pretty young lady date someone that looks like Kash Patel? Which I was like, ouch. He's a weird looking fella. And who's, pushing 50. They're basically a 50-year-old. Like, if you were 26, 26, hot chick, country singer, up and coming in the conservative blogosphere. Like, why would you be hooked up with Kash Patel, the weird-looking guy?
Do we know when they got together?
I don't. It was before he got. I think they've been together a couple of years. And my whole thing too is like we were talking about before we started. Really, I never heard of Kash Patel before Trump got elected this time. Lots of people suddenly were like, "Oh, I really like Kash Patel. Really like Kash. Really like Kash." And so I was like, "Okay, the Government Gangsters book sounds like an interesting book, and probably I'd agree with some of his assessments in that." So I guess he was making a name for himself. He was in intelligence, and then he was making his name speaking out against the left. So yeah, in some regard, I could see his stock is rising, and you're in the conservative blogosphere being like, I'm gonna ride this wave too. Like whatever. He's not that bad looking. He's funny, or whatever the justification is. But even in being like if there is a game, if it's not just romance, you go, well, he was a star on the rise. You can see why somebody would go and grab that fella right there.
Especially with their associations.
Yeah, now she doesn't have the associations, but her boss does. And, whatever that means. I mean, Ghislaine, Director PragerU, they might both have had the same boss at some point, or currently, whatever. Just to end our kind of fun intelligence episode here. This is from, I think today, or yesterday or something, I don't know. So this is the Federalist. So President Barack Obama, not CIA Director John Brennan, not DNI James Clapper, and not FBI Director James Comey, but President Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States, directed the intelligence community to interfere in the peaceful transition of power to his successor, Donald Trump, and for that, Obama should blah, blah, blah. So last week, CIA Director John Ratcliffe released the agency's review of the Intelligence Community Assessment, ICA, on Russia's influence campaign targeting the 2016 U.S. presidential election. The CIA's review exposed extensive problems with the, quote, the procedures and analytic tradecraft employed by the intelligence community in crafting the ICA, revealing at the same time the role that Brennan, Clapper, and Comey played in the corrupt process. However, the CIA's review of the ICA on Russia's targeting of the election exposed something more scandalous. Obama was behind the entire plot to portray Putin as seeking to help Trump win the election. Let's see. So while last week's CIA report did not finger Obama, it didn't, Charlie.
I'm trying to keep this professional.
Come on. Barry got fingered. But the details confirm that, yes, this was Obama, and not merely that Obama knew or condoned it, but that he directed the politicization.
Is Big Mike okay with this?
He never said whose finger it was, Let's see. So in December 2016, President Obama directed then Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, to conduct a comprehensive review of all the available intelligence and provide the IC's best assessment of Russian activities related to the election, the CIA report explained. And it was So this ask alone was not necessarily to be concerning, but as a sidebar of the CIA report revealed, President Obama also put a timeline to the task, requiring both classified and unclassified versions of the report be published before the transition. So basically, election's over. He won, and now this whole like Russian collusion, he's a puppet of Putin thing, the whole, reports coming out about investigating it. So that's what Obama was just like, all right, in the time between now and when he takes office, I want these reports coming out about investigating, because that's the thing. You don't have to accuse someone, right? You say, Charlie's being investigated for this. And you go, whoa. It's like, did you say Charlie did this? You go, no, Charlie's being investigated by the FBI and the CIA for this. And you go, all right. Or you go, hey, in our investigation, we were unable to conclude that Putin did this. You go, okay, but you're unable to conclude he didn't. Unable to conclude. And so, Obama was trying to throw a wrench in this thing. I don't know if he was hoping that there was some magic that could undo the election somehow, or if he'd be impeached before he started. I mean, he got impeached pretty quick, but he got the machine rolling. And so that is just more of our intelligence agencies doing bad things for political reasons, because they're all horrible people. Well, I think that'll do it for today. What do you want to leave the fine people with?
That was perfect.
Do you need to finger anybody?
Nope. I think all the fingering has been done.
You don't need to finger President Barack Obama?
Definitely not. He has a man, his wife for that.
Do you need to finger Hillary Clinton?
Oh, God.
I thought I'd get you with that one. Yeah, never mind. I'm going to leave it there before we get banned. Before I start getting in trouble here. All right, so, like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Hit the alert thing so you always find out when our new episode's around. If you don't follow us on the Instagrams or the Twitters, do that. Rumble, YouTube, and Spotify are our main avenues of distribution, but from there you get your Apples and everything else. So this is Loaded Talk. I'm Frank. That's Charlie the Bean. And until next week, don't finger Obama.